No, he says. But you know, going.
Oh, aye, we're going, aye. I'm just waiting the 10 seconds passing so we don't have a lag, David. Anyway, good afternoon, David. How are you?
All right, all right. So I'm okay since the last time I spoke to you, which was a few seconds ago.
Very good. Glad to hear it. Let's have a wee look and see who's in, shall we?
Yes.
Aye, Kirsty Hamilton, John Baxter, Indy Duck Mel, Pete's Music, Stephen Bankier, Eddie Wolfie, Desiree Brinker, Robert the Bruce, Wake Up and Smell the Rosemaries, Margaret Mackay, Pete's Music, Mark Telfer, Peter M, Neil McLean, Chris Fisher. I think we've got everybody now. So far, anyway. Bit slow and moving the spot this afternoon. Hello, Dennis. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Nathan. Hi, Graham. Numbers are starting to climb all right now, David. There's a fair bit to talk about. I suppose it's been a busy weekend, is it not?
Yeah, far be it for me to actually jump ahead. I'm not jumping ahead on this. I'm definitely not. But I've asked on my own timeline that 4 o'clock is the time that we were told. 4 o'clock GMT is the time that the meeting at the Israeli Parliament is taking place. Reference ceasefire, right? And I've asked if anybody's got the ability to do it, keep an eye on it, keep an eye on the airwaves, as it were, the news services, to see if there's any news comes out on that. All right.
Tracker up, David.
Yeah. Okay. So not just you, Dave. You've got other things to think about on the broadcast, but if other people can do it, that'd be cool.
If you're in the audience, you keep an eye on what's happening at the Knesset live, then please do. And let us know if this ceasefire is agreed.
Yeah.
We'll talk a wee bit more about that later. First up today, David, we're going to talk about John Swinney's fresh start for Scotland.
Yeah.
Push for independence.
Yeah.
Now, he gave a speech at the National Gallery of Scotland yesterday.
Yeah.
Hey, may as well get through a wee bit yet, eh? The First Minister delivered the speech in the Scottish National Portrait Gallery on the 8th of October 2025. Good morning, everyone, he said. National Gallery of Scotland described the gallery we're in today as a love letter to Scotland, with the art on display telling the story of our lands and our people. Wherever we stand on the question of independence, I know everyone in this debate loves our beautiful country.
Yes.
Where we differ is over what we believe is the best future for Scotland. One future is to stick with Westminster, the other future is to take it into our own hands. Last month, the Scottish Government set out the long-held principle that the United Kingdom is a voluntary union of nations and that the people in Scotland have the right to decide their own future.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's supposed to be quite clear, but it's a bit murky at this point in time. Now, John says he's set out the route that we need to take for Scotland to become an independent country and to give life and effect to that principle. Now, I think when he's talking about the route, he's talking about an SNP majority, David. You know, which I think is setting the bar a bit high.
Do you know something, David? It doesn't matter to me. It's like if we go into the election having said that, right, we need for it to be all of the indie parties together, right? It doesn't make any difference. If we go into the say it has to be a majority with the SNP, right? After the fact, if they don't get a majority, after the fact, all the other parties can go, well, hang on a second, don't you us as well? So you know, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't care how it's done, so long as at the end of it, somebody has got the gumption to actually stand up and go, we're doing it, guys.
Aye. So anyway, let's move on. What did they say next? And today the Scottish Government is setting out the way of independence, why we believe a better Scotland can be built by becoming an equal independent nation state. We are therefore publishing this document, A Fresh Start with Independence. Alongside the main document, the government is publishing a technical paper looking at the microeconomics framework of an independent Scotland. Given the direction Westminster is intent on taking Scotland day by day, the need for people in Scotland to consider an alternative future is becoming more and more pressing.
Mhm.
I think that's true. Indeed, I believe it is urgent and essential, says Mr. Swinney. The prospect of Nigel Farage becoming Prime Minister is a very real one. But even if Farage does not make it to number 10, he is driving the agenda at Westminster even more to the right. And there's a lot of truth in that, considering how little influence he has in that parliament. He seems to be driving it. 5 MPs out of 650 and Froggy Boy is driving it, which is pretty hard to believe. Right, the rightward shift at Westminster is one of the obvious factors to have changed since the people of Scotland last considered this question in 2014. Others include the disaster of Brexit, a huge rise in energy bills, the pursuit of a migration policy which is damaging our National Health Service and our economy. But perhaps above all else is the living standards for far too many people in the UK and in Scotland have ground to a halt, and that's been over the last 30 years, as you know, David. Right, given the future, given that failure, I have a duty, a responsibility to set out an alternative. I believe a better future is possible. Today's paper sets out why independence is a better future. Fundamentally, it shows that decisions about Scotland being taken in Scotland, as the very essence of self-government, has worked for the people of Scotland. For example, prescriptions are free. There's been a huge expansion in early learning and childcare. Child poverty in Scotland has fallen because of the measures such as the child payment. And we are helping with the cost of living through policies such as free bus travel for people under 22 and the abolition of peak rail fares. He also goes on to say it wasn't just us who have made good decisions for Scotland. The Labour Liberal Democrat coalition before the SNP came to power, and exercising self-government, brought in free personal care for the elderly. They introduced the smoking ban, and one of his predecessors, Jack McConnell, recognised the specific population challenges we have in Scotland and tried to do something about it, but was told to fuck off by Westminster, of course. So on the latter point, the new UK Labour government unfortunately refuses to accept, let alone take action on the need of an immigration policy tailored to the needs of Scotland, which is interesting because we'll be talking about that right after we talk about First Ministers. So times have changed, but the critical bigger point is that self-government works for the people of Scotland. He then goes on to tell us that devolutions went as far as it can go because it's as far as Westminster's going to let it go, you know. And he says the crucial bigger point in itself is government works for the people of Scotland, meaning the Scottish Parliament. Right. You know, he then goes on to talk about higher living standards in like-sized countries who are also members of the EU. And at the end of it, he says the choice is stick with the decline of the UK or a fresh start with independence.
Yeah, it's like tying yourself to the Titanic, isn't it?
Aye, sticking with Westminster, aye. But we've known that for a long time now, David. It's just a matter of how it's been. Well, as you know, the last one, they broke Purder and come up that road and offered fucking Devo match, and what we got was road signs and air rifles, for fuck's sake.
You know, I've got an enjoyment of forming little campaign like ditties or mottos, right? And I'll get time for independence, right? Okay, fine. My new and latest one is we're Scotland and we've got plans. That's it.
That's it. You're hired. That's it. Get that down to the three words, and you're really on the ball.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille.
We're Scotland and we have plans. That's 6 words that will never catch on. I just won't catch. If it's any more than a three-word ditty, it just doesn't catch.
Well, yeah.
So just stick to independence, because any more than that, they just don't.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. Deville. Oh,
Aye.
God.
Although I
So,
like to say, right enough, the people in Scotland are a wee bit better educated, so they might manage 6 words. It's in England they can only manage 3 words, get Brexit done.
yeah, that's right. There you
Labour for change.
go. James.
How about this one? SNP for independence. Okay, anyway, so something has changed, David, obviously, because there's a concerted push. We had the joining up of a business, Believe in Scotland previously, and also known as Business for Scotland.
Yeah.
And the SNP. And now, all of a sudden, John's dumped a new document on us telling us that it's a fresh start Scotland needs. There's definitely something's changed in the water, David.
The thing is you were rightly discussing, was it's possible that there's also a change down in England pursuant to that.
Yes, there is.
So therefore, it's not just we all of a sudden woke up and went, "Oh, that's it, we're going for independence." It's something that's happened in England. It's something that's
Something
anyway.
changed the mood music anyway. And apparently, you're very good, David. We are Scotland and we have plans. Stuart Crockett approves.
There you are. I've got a job, have
It turns out the Scottish people are a wee bit more intelligent. They can go for a 6-word ditty as opposed to a 3-word ditty.
I?
But the drive to the right down there is repulsing most of us up here, David.
Yeah.
You know, and the way they're clamping down the civil liberties doing that road is quite repellent to us as well.
Well,
And really understandable because it's no happening to us.
The phrase that we were always laughing about was we're too poor and too stupid to be independent. It seems that in England the thing about the subsidy junkie thing is now being dropped. I haven't heard it of.
Oh, you're hearing it the right wing down there, mate. You're hearing it because they're pushing. The right wing there, they've got. I even seen a meme with a sign, with a bus on it with a sign that says "Dump Scotland to save 300 million."
Oh yeah, I got that. It's almost the same buses they use for Brexit. Yeah, so yeah.
And I see Farage has got himself a nice blue one.
Has he?
Aye. Anyway, but see, something has changed. There seems to be a more concerted push, and there seems to be a confidence that it's going to actually lead to something here. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that seems to be changing. There seems to be a confidence about it.
Well, there's a line of thought that goes that very, very little happens due to the general public. Decisions like that are made from further upstream. And what I mean by that is somebody somewhere in a Rothschild bank or something like that goes, it's time Scotland was independent.
Well, whatever it is, the mood music's changed. The drums have changed. There's confidence in the Scottish politicians when they're talking about this again. And they seem, John seems pretty confident.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe he can afford to be that confident knowing that he's set the bar so bloody high.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because James Kelly for Scott Goes Pop, who's running to go on in the SNP's National Executive Committee this week, he's a nominee. He says we've only got a few days left to change John's mind. And our conference is coming up and there'll be a vote on the motion.
Yeah.
You know, so.
My personal feeling now is that we should go ahead and back John's idea of getting SNP majority, and that's it, done, right? And even if it comes down as a pro-independence majority,
Well,
then at the end of the day, as far as we're concerned, well, doesn't matter what we said. We're independent. There you are.
Well, as I say, something seems to have changed because there's a lot of confidence coming out of John right now. Now, I don't know whether it's because he's set the bar that high, but I can't see him setting himself up to fail because he's used to failing.
Kill the Windows 11 notification, please. Keeps coming up.
Does it?
Yeah.
If I knew how to do it, I'd think about it. Right, so as I say, there seems to be a concerted push. Started off last week with the SNP and Believe in Scotland sitting down and signing a memorandum of understanding of campaigning.
Yeah.
And New John, we're only 4 or 5 days after that, and he's standing in the National Gallery, Portrait Gallery, delivering a keynote speech on how Scotland needs to refresh itself with independence. Right, so that covers that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got First Minister's questions today. And first up today was, of course, non-entity and Tory party branch office manager here in Scotland, Russell Finlay. And Russell Finlay says Swinney cannot bring Scotland a fresh start, and that the First Minister is up to his neck in scandal. The FM tells him that he is serious about independence, and he's set out the route now, and that 47% of the population favour Indy. Now, as we know, the last 4 polls on independence will be carried out by Find Out Now and by
YouGov?
No.
Mori.
Ipsos Mori, I think it was it not?
Okay.
But the one John seems to be going on is the one that they all seem to take serious, and that's the YouGov poll.
Yeah.
The other ones have got Yes out in front by 3 or 4 points, by the margin of error, basically. But YouGov have got Yes 3 points behind, or 6 points behind, sorry, on 47%. They seem to consistently get the Yes vote behind YouGov.
Yeah, but that's taken always taken into account weighting that's been constructed on the 2014 result.
Well, funny enough, I was talking to Gordon McIntyre about that yesterday.
All right, okay.
You know, he's an economist and a statistician.
Yeah. And what was Gordy saying?
He was saying there's some merit in that, but we'll take it with a pinch of salt. Well, what do you expect? He's a statistician, you know.
Utterly non-committal.
An economist, a statistician, what do you expect for Gordon? Come on. Anyways, I say, John tells Finlay, no, I'm serious here, buddy. Get a grip.
You imagine Gordon if you say to him, you lose a tenner. Well, if you give us 3 years of books, it's like, well, we'll look at it.
And then we'll consider it. Anyway, next up was Sarwar. Now, Sarwar tells the Chamber that he's going to vote on the right to a recovery bill, which is hitting the Parliament this afternoon. This bill was proposed by Douglas Ross, and nobody opposes it, believe it or not.
In actual fact, I've got to say, I agree with it.
And Douglas Ross is on his way out the Parliament, and he might well be remembered for this bill.
Yeah, I mean, a broken watch is right twice a day.
Aye.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sarwar tells the Chamber his party will be voting for wee Dougie's a right to recovery bill, which is to be put in place to ensure that addicts of all sorts have the right to recovery.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in principle, David, we all agree with that.
Yeah, it's basically it's everybody that's been a drug addict, alcoholic, whatever. It's giving them support.
Yeah.
When they manage to break whatever the addiction is, right, and giving them support on that, and it's like nobody. You'd be out of your mind to go, oh, I oppose that, you know.
Right, after he says he's going to agree with this right to rehab or right to recovery bill, he then goes on to justice and he says that drug dealers are walking away from the court scot-free because of time bar. And John says to him, well, what do you expect? In fact, John's answer to him on both subjects was the amount of rehab places are up in Scotland since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And he also tells him that the problem with the time bar on offences is that it doesn't just affect drug offences, it affects a lot of offences, and that a lot of them are up because of the COVID backlog. the courts haven't recovered the same as the NHS.
And actually, I really feel that's a failure of government, because it should have been that immediately at the end of let's say we're getting to the back end of the pandemic, still going, right, but getting to the back end of it officially, the government should have said, right, all of the items that are getting towards being time limited for courts have all now got a year or 2 years, whatever, added on to it.
Well, David, as you know, the judge can rule these things out 3 times. And then at the third time, the case is going.
But the idea of a judge making that decision, it's not good enough.
But while we're on the COVID backlog, folks, I think we've already mentioned that 2 new strains running through Scotland and the rest of the UK as winter comes in. So that backlog might just be about to get bigger again.
Yeah.
And so as I say, John tells them the amount of rehab places are up and we're working on it, and that it's a COVID backlog and it's affecting a lot of crimes. And
the good thing about the COVID now is it's nasty, but it's not a killer as it once was. Okay, perhaps maybe somebody that's got old age, it would kill them, right? But generally, it's not a killer.
No,
it was.
No, it's no. There is a certain level of immunity now, and it's only the weakest that is killing now.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, today was the once a month the stuff shot that is Alex Cole Hamilton got to ask a question. Cole Hamilton be Cole Hamilton. He couldn't ask one question. He rolls 3 questions into one question, doesn't he? Well, 2 questions actually. He starts off with praising Sir Mingus Campbell. You know. Anyway, he then goes on to talk about it wasn't mental health for a change. He went on to talk about fuel poverty and the report into the experience of people living in care.
Yeah.
Now, John's polite about Mingus Campbell, and he then says he backs renewable energy as a route to bring down energy prices. And he says progress is being made in the state care sector. Now, as we know, Nicola promised to improve lives for people who experience care and to extend the amount of time they're in care to their 21. Right? But as you know, David, policy announcement and policy actually taking effect on the ground takes years.
We did discuss this the other day there.
We did, aye.
And you even mentioned down the point of your dad actually saw the information coming through, and he knew that it was going to be good, but it was going to take time.
He said that at the time. He says, David, this is all great stuff. He says, but
the
wheels of bureaucracy turn even slower than the wheels of industry. So he says it'll take 5 or 10 years for this to filter through. And I think it's only about 3 years since Nicola mentioned it.
Yeah.
So this is just an interim report, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But folks, most of us here in the audience are old enough to know how long it takes for government policy to actually kick in. For the announcement to actually be effective.
The one thing is, I watched the BBC debate night last night. Yet again, we had a multiple of unionist politicians and one uber unionist at the end. And then it was Alan Smith who was taking the SNP position. Alan's very good, right? But this idiot at the end, I forget what his name was, he was on discussing about, he started off, I went, oh, this is pretty sensible, let's have a listen to this guy, right? Then he started on about nuclear power for Scotland. And I went, right, shut up, sit down, and be quiet. There we are.
So that was basically First Minister's. Cole Hamilton got to say something, and he made the best of it. He had 2 questions into one fucking question. That's typical Lib Dem, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if they're for a
who's that? Who are you talking about?
Alex Cole Hamilton.
No, what's the name of the party?
Liberal Democrats.
I have them.
Never heard of them. Hey, funny enough, we were reading before we came on the last 5 years. Every other party party in England's getting a bounce, except for Labour and the Lib Dems, who have shed members in the last.
That's the party that if you vote for them, you don't actually vote for them. You vote for whoever they jump into bed with.
I'll fucking shut up. You're fed up hearing that.
Yeah. If Kathy, my friend who used to be a Lib Dem councillor for Eastern Bartonshire, right? If she hear that, she'd be cursing me upside down. But anyway, there you go.
Right. Let's move on. Ardrossan Harbour sale price agreed with Peel Ports. Finally. This saga has been going for a few years now, David. Now,
Yes.
the amount of money required to buy the port has remained undisclosed, but the redevelopment cost is estimated at 170 million quid. Shall we have a wee look at a picture or two of what it's
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you did mention earlier on was that Jewson's is on one side.
Yep.
The side where the new pier is going to be, right?
They're going to put a second port, a second berth at the other side of the existing.
Go on, put the plan.
I am going to put a plan up. This is what it's going to look like. You say, I don't recognise this.
It's ending exactly with the new saying, which is, we are Scotland and we've got plans.
Well, that's what you were saying.
7 words. 7. What? Not 6. 7 words.
Anyway, folks, I don't know if you can make that out, but that's what the new harbour complex will look like. At the moment, at this side where that berth is, as far as I can tell, that's where Jewson's is at this point in time, or is Jewson's there at this point in time, somewhere along here anyway. And that's for the new. There'll be a berth there and a berth that side, and what looks to be a park in the middle there, David.
Yeah, I think in actual fact that's there just for effect. It's going to be covered with McDonald's, Starbucks, and the lobby in there, right?
This is what the new terminal will look like, and it's going to be called Ardrossan Maritime or Maritime.
Yeah.
And there you go, Ardrossan Maritime Hub is what it's going to be called, and that's a part.
Stop there, right? Why is it called a hub? I mean, if let's face it, if it's only doing sailings to Arran, to Brodick and Arran, then it can't be considered as a hub. I mean, Dubai, you fly into Dubai and you know that's the Dubai International Airport is called a hub because then you fly to Australia or wherever, right, from that point. But how come Ardrossan is now becoming a hub?
I have no idea, David,
but just some idiot with a pencil has went, oh, that'll be good if we have to call it Ardrossan Hub.
We don't know how much it's costing to buy the harbour for Peel Ports, but what we do know is the estimated cost is 170 million for that diagram we've just looked at. That was just the price of painting that picture, by the way. It's got to be 3 times that to build the fucking thing.
Dare I mention the building of the Holyrood?
No, do you know why it is the harbour needs updated, David?
Yeah, well, for a start, the Peel ports weren't allowing anything to be done to develop the port. For a start, that was one of the main things.
But as I said,
it needs developing. It needs developing, and also we didn't have the ability to be able to bring bigger ships into that port.
That's the problem. The berth at Ardrossan is only 98 feet. The Glen Sannox is 103 feet, 0.4 inches. It doesn't fit the berth.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So, but it looks like they're going to put in two docking points. So it looks as if the business may actually happen now. Yeah,
all right, okay. Apart from the park.
Anyway, they want shovels in the ground by the beginning of 2025. So they want the sale complete. By the beginning of 2026. They want the sale complete by the end of 2025, and they want shovels in the ground beginning of 2026.
A good chippy, Burger King, Starbucks, Costa Coffee, and McDonald's. That's it. That's what will fit in that area in the middle there.
There might even still be a bit of room for some grass tea and a table. Right, so good news, folks. Ardrossan Harbour is up and running, or will be up and running.
No, and all joking aside, it requires development. It
Yes.
requires this. The actual town of Ardrossan needs this.
Aye, it does. It does, to be
Yeah.
fair. Right, let's move on. Scotland's first car manufacturer for 54 years.
Yes.
Is up and running in Glasgow. It's been going for a few years, but it's in the news right now because it is got a 2 million grant fee. Is it for the Scottish Government? Scottish Enterprise?
Forget the 2 million, but no, it's from another company consortium.
Oh, so it's private business that's investing in it.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, the company's called Monroe EV and it's building multi-terrain vehicle, a single one. I'll put the picture of it up, folks. It looks a bit like a Land Rover.
Well, you're looking at it, you think you were approaching a Land Rover, you're going to open the doors.
Aye. So
The only thing that's different is the headlamp cluster.
So that's what it looks like, folks. It's being produced in Glasgow and it's been produced for military, mining and construction. It's an all-terrain vehicle. It allegedly goes 170 miles on a charge.
Yeah.
It will carry up to 1,000 kilos because it's a pickup truck. So basically a metric ton. And it's got a very handsome price tag of £60,000.
And it's an EV, and it says its range is 170 miles.
Aye, so that means
heard it. It'll be on a good day in the winter, it'll get 50 miles. There you go.
right, so there you go, folks. Good news story. New car manufacturer in Scotland for the first time in 54 years. Okay.
The good thing is, because an EV, one can actually look at it and go, right, there's ways where you could convert that very, very quickly and very easily to hydrogen. Yeah, if you convert it to fuel cell operation.
Now, I don't know but we don't really have much time to get any further away. It's just a good news story to end the Scotland section.
Yeah.
In fact, it's been the Scottish news this week has been pretty positive if you're a pro-independent supporter.
Yeah.
Right, let's get rid of the EV.
Don't forget, we are Scotland. We've got plans.
Right, let's go on.
What's up with you? What's up with you? Should be behind things like this.
Oh, aye. Be a man, get my drum out and start banging your palm. You're the one who wants to get to talk about Israel, and we're not getting anywhere near it at this speed. Reach my cap, but a wee bit for the baby bank, food bank. Stephen, don't you overstretch yourself, sir.
Yeah, don't.
I'll need to run out of your house and drop you off.
Just as in between, when we're talking about Ardrossan, right?
Aye.
Round the corner, right, round towards Larsk, we've got the island of Millport, right? And it's like what they've found is they've found sex toys galore.
Oh, God, great.
Let's stop the beat. No, serious. No, this was so funny.
I know it's serious. It's all our social media. Let's leave it at that.
The couple that found these sex toys were going looking for a bin to put them in. Aye, that'll be right.
Listen, folks, apparently if you're looking for a free sex toy, you'll find them in Millport Beach, all right? Now, let's move on. Douglas Alexander and Mr. Starmer are in India at the moment. Apparently, Douglas has been brought along to promote Scottish goods to the Indian people. So there you go, tartan and whiskey. We Doogies earlier try to punt it, whereas most of us are buying more tartan for India and whiskey for
Douglas Alexander will be out there. He won't mention Scotland. He goes, these are British.
Oh,
Haggis, whiskey, tartan, all British.
Aye.
Little bastard.
While he's there, Starmer tells Modi that he won't be loosening up on student visas for Indian kids, and he wouldn't be adding visas into the trade deal the way that Rishi Sunak had added them in. So Starmer's shutting the door. And this leads to an interesting situation in England where their universities rely very heavily on the subcontinent for students. So first out the traps was Southampton. They've opened a campus in India. And the other universities in England are looking at the same because they need to protect their income. They need that money in order to be able to run their institutions back home and educate the people back home, because apparently £9,000 a term isn't enough.
Yeah, you have to remember a university is a business just like any other. The moment a business hits a burden or an obstacle, it looks to go round about the obstacle, right?
We know the
And the
university.
answer in this case is the British government, the Labour, right? And effectively, well, we don't need that, right? We'll just go and open a campus and get the money that way.
Aye.
Yeah.
As I say, but they desperately need that money. The UK government shut the doors. So what they're doing is they're actually going abroad. Now, you say about the university sector having to protect itself. Well, it's had to work hard at it because it's taken a right scalping out of last wee while with Brexit.
Yeah.
And demanding clampdown on international students.
You can imagine as a new student, as someone looking to go to university in India, right? You look down the list of universities and you go, there's Oxford in Bangalore. You go through them like that, you know. And seriously, these places will have the campus, I mean, marvellous, absolutely marvellous use of business acumen to do that, you know.
Well, you know, Glasgow, it's got a campus in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what one it was that opened the campus in New York and then to shut it back down again. I can't remember what one it was.
Yeah.
Was it Robert Gordon?
Robert Gordon, yes, that's right, yes.
They opened a campus in New York and had to shut it down again. Right, anyway, so is there anything of any substance comes out of this visit? We'll find out shortly. You know, once it's settled down. All right, and we get the details of what came out of his visit. We haven't quite got it yet.
Well, it'll be Britain's achieved this and Britain's done this, and not Scotland.
Aye. Right. Now, a wee bit of bad news for West Street and down that road, and that is that as you and I predicted, David, he was going to throw patients at the private sector in the hope that they could bring down waiting lists. Well, that only worked for a couple of months because once they were at capacity, there was still nobody being able to get seen. So waiting lists in England are back.
Why is that? Why is that? Why is it when you move the population towards another business, as it were, right? Why is it that they're not waiting? They're waiting longer. They're just waiting the same amount of time. Why is that?
Because it's the same staff, mainly in both places.
Precisely.
Now,
There are certain consultants. There are certain consultants in private medicine that all they do is private medicine. I know that, right? But the majority of consultants are there. They do work in the NHS hospital, and also they do work in, say, the Bupa or Nuffield, right? So you know,
people know what I'm talking about, David. Anyway, NHS waiting times back up at 7.4 million, where they were when they started throwing money to the private sector. And the reason for it being, according to this report, is the private sector has now reached capacity.
Yeah.
And the waiting list is back up. So that wee bit there, folks, just that wee bit at the beginning of the turn of the year, couple of months, that's the only time that it was falling.
Yeah. You can't see the bottom of that, by the way. The bottom of that, what you're looking at is you're looking at the very, very tip of the mountain just before it starts to go back up again.
I'll move it a little bit.
Thank you, David.
Right, as you can see, folks.
But here's the one thing we're looking at was it actually marks out more than 1 year, right?
Actually, wasn't that bit there? There was the drop. See that wee tiny peak there to there?
Yeah.
That was the drop, and it's back up to where it started. There you go, level pegging.
Right.
So throwing money at the private sector in the hope that they would clear up the mess, as predicted by you and I, David, has fucking failed.
Yeah, but also the English NHS, they count that they actually work out up to 1 year. So if someone's waiting for more than 1 year, that's all they say. They don't say, oh, they're waiting for a year and a half, or they're waiting for 2 years, or they're waiting for 40, or whatever, right? They've been waiting for more than a year.
Aye, that's
So
what
when you have 52 weeks, you stay at 52 weeks. End of story, right?
well, as I say, the main point here being is, as we predicted, he would move, because the money follows the patient, he would shift so many of them off, but it meant the NHS staff who were split between private and public were overworked. So we're back where we were. They'd been better just giving the money straight to the fucking NHS, increasing doctors' pay so they didn't have to go work in the private sector to make a sidey, and that maybe have been sustainable.
But that would imbue intelligence on the part of West Streeting. It hasn't. So it's in actual fact, I've heard it takes a long time for him to count up to 10. He has to 1, 2, 3. So here you go, right? So West Streeting, you're a fucking knob. Anyway, right, next.
Now, hold on, it was just a safe journey, Mel. I hope you enjoy your new chair. Right, Kimmy Badenoch, or Bad Enoch, tries to come back, tries to breathe some life into the Tory party with a slew of policy announcements. First, she tries to out Farage by telling us she'll deport hundreds of thousands of migrants.
Yeah.
And then she tries to woo the young vote with a promise to scrap the stamp duty in England and Wales. Now, you heard me talk about this morning, what a stupid fucking policy that would be.
Yeah.
But it would seem that they haven't learned the lessons. They still haven't managed to tie up tax and services. They just don't seem to be able to try to square that circle for some reason.
You pay tax and it pays for your services. You know, if the British, if the English people don't pay any taxes, then they don't have any public services.
And as I said this morning, this is estimated to take £13 billion out of the public purse doing that road. That's just for England and Wales, by the way, because Scotland is getting different. In fact, that's just England, because the Welsh have got a different stamp duty regime and all now.
They do, that's right.
So that 13 billion would be coming straight out of public services in England.
Yeah.
Because, of course, our transaction tax stays within Scotland. The Welsh's transaction tax stays within Wales. So that would just be coming solely out of England's public services.
Yeah.
13 billion.
Yeah.
Wow, I wonder what department they're closing down, David.
Well, if you even if you just try to figure out just the number of people in England, right? Let's say it was 50, 55 million, something like that, right? Okay. At the end of the day, it's like you start a figure of 13 billion. Get your calculator out and figure out how much each person has got out of that, and how much each person is losing out of that.
Aye.
You know,
What they're going to do away with? Cut the military, cut the police, cut the ambulance, cut the NHS. 13 billion is a lot of fucking money. I mean, we done the whole of Scotland in just 3 times that.
Well, being Kenny can be bad now. It would be no more social security, no more social services.
Yes.
So in other words, if you rely on these kind of services, you're gubbed.
Aye.
So it's a bit like the American government, where it's like health service. You don't have insurance. You don't have health. Goodbye. No. We don't want to know you.
That's exactly where it's gone. And of course, Nigel Farage is openly talking about it. West Streeting's trying to do it. Yeah. Practically.
Well, don't forget, West Street, a personal friend of West Streeting is a chap who spent years talking about privatising the NHS.
Yes.
So are you going to say that West Streeting is not guided by that? Of course he is.
And Hasbury tells us that he thinks that she would take the 13 billion from welfare, civil service, and overseas aid. That's if they left in the overseas aid pot after Stan was ready twice. But I guess we better have a wee look and see what's happening in Ukraine, eh?
Stephen Charles worked out £236.36 per head. So somebody came and took 236 quid off you.
But what's interesting about the proposal was they were interviewing people at the conference, and they said that people where they come from would go for that. So obviously, at this conference, you haven't had time to sit down and reflect on how stupid an idea it would be, because I didn't hear any suggestion on how she was going to plug the black hole that would create in public finances. You know. But she looked like a hobbit next to the 7'2" guy. As I said this morning, the most notable thing that came out of that conference was the 7'2" guy. But that's because he was hard to fucking miss. Apart from that, we missed the rest.
It's a never-ending story, yes.
It's a never-ending story.
Yes.
Did we cover the population?
A never-ending Tory, yes, as it should be.
Oh no, we did miss that story for Scotland, didn't we? The net migration story. Did we cover that at the beginning?
What, you on about
the net migration story we were supposed to cover in Scotland? The National Records of Scotland tell us that births and marriages, births and deaths are still outgrowing births in Scotland. Oh, sorry, there's more deaths than births in Scotland, but the population's growing, folks.
Yes, 40,000 is grown by approximately.
Yeah, well, I previously stated that the majority of these people were coming from England, but they're coming from overseas to England. They're getting to England, having a look, saying, don't want to live in this racist shithole, and they're coming up the road to Scotland. They'll stick a graph up before they take it down.
Yeah. It's quite interesting because it's causing quite a lot of consternation by people that work on the social service side.
Right, the red line along the bottom is more or less people from England, Wales and Northern Ireland moving to Scotland. And the blue above is the international people moving to Scotland. As I say, what it tells in the report is they're moving to England and then moving up to Scotland, as they don't really fancy settling in England. So as we can see, it's no people coming from south, although in 2023 it was 13,000 the rest of the UK and 42,600 for internationally. So it's no majority Brits, it's majority international people moving to Scotland, which is good news when it comes to voting for independence.
Yeah.
So that's that story bagged. Let's go on to Ukraine now. Where are we? That's a waiting list. On to Ukraine.
Get the map up.
I'll get a map up once we're finished talking about the big stories of the week. Right, 3 killed in the latest Ukraine strike on Russian Belgorod region. And Zelensky's not happy as some British parts are showing up in Russian drones, but this stuff's sold on the international market, David.
Yeah, I was busy explaining that if you own the top of the range Ferrari car, right, costing just $1.5 million or something like that, right, and you get a chip in one of your mirrors or whatever, right, the mirrors they use are from a mini metro.
Aye.
And so therefore the mini metro mirrors cost about 14 quid in the general market. On the Ferrari site, they're a couple of £1,000 each.
Stephen Kelly's got leaving Germany. Sorry, I meant England in droves. You're talking 1930s Germany. And we've got another one here for Gordon McKenzie telling us that there's an awful lot of Americans moving into the Inverness area. Which, believe it or not, I think you're pretty well right, Gordon, because I've been watching a few YouTubers from America who are now describing their idyllic lives in the Highlands of Scotland.
Yes. Are we possibly talking about a brain drain? The opposite way around?
Nah, they're just running away from fuck like for Trump anyway.
Well, if you imagine back in the 1960s, when we had 19 shillings and sixpence in the pound for taxation.
What would they know?
With the brain drain, shut up a minute, and with the brain drain, where people were going, right, I've had enough of Britain, whatever, I'm off, right?
Another one named since Brexit, David. We know what a brain drain is.
Yeah.
But back to Ukraine.
Yeah.
5 killed in large Russian missile on attack. An attack, says Zelensky.
Yeah.
At least 30 injured in Russian strike on railway station, says Zelensky. And we'll get the map up. Where the fuck's the map went? Ukraine in the map. Tracking the Ukrainian war. Here we go. Let's get it up. And to be fair, folks, Putin's nearly got all the land he's looking for, David.
Yeah. Well, he's got his buffer, hasn't he? He's effectively got the buffer. If we take Putin at face value, what he was saying, his biggest problem was NATO. And he wanted the Ukraine to be the buffer. Now that Ukraine was looking to be a member of NATO, then it meant that Putin yet again would need some kind of buffer zone to protect Russia, right? Now, if you take that, put it on his head, and then we've got America, right? And let's just say that somebody down there was looking to put missiles or missile sites in Mexico and all the rest of it, right? To hit America. I think America would complain, don't you? So I understand why Putin's complaining about NATO being so close on his doorstep. He doesn't trust it.
And there might be something in this, Sandy. Of course, they might be there because of the new American planes moving into the area.
Yeah.
But right, as I say, folks, as you can see, there's not much left that Putin needs to take or wants to take until he's finished taking the area he wants. You've got that wee bit of Kherson left that he wants to complete his taking over the Kherson region. He's already got Zara, whatever the fuck it's called. You tell us, David.
Kharkiv, he did. He got his.
David, do you see where the wee hand is on the map?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce that?
The wee hand is.
Aye, the pointer. Do you see where the pointer is on the map?
No, I don't.
Right, we've got Kyrgyzstan, we've got Kyrgyzstan.
Check the pointer. Let me see it. No, it's not getting on this.
Hello.
No.
Anyway, whatever the fuck that region's called, Donetsk and up there, Luhansk. Now, he's got the whole of Luhansk.
What's that? You're on about Zaporizhia?
Zaporizhia, that's the one I'm looking for.
Yeah.
He's got a wee bit of Donetsk left he wanted to get his horns on. He's got a wee bit of that last one we've just said. He's got a wee bit of Kherson. So once he hits that natural line along there, that's where he'll stop.
Yeah, it gives them access to Crimea,
Yep.
which is important to Russia. I would say that the fact that he took such a pasting, my goodness me, the language that we use these days, the fact that he took such a beating from Kharkiv, you actually see there's a small, very, very small amount of red region, which is where the Russian forces are, right?
It's the wee bits there in the Kharkiv.
Yeah, and further up, heading towards Belarusia, there's another section. But I would say that the Ukrainians have done incredibly well, because look at that line. That's hundreds of miles. They've created that line, and the Russians just need one small area to get through, and then they can do what's called an outflank maneuver on the Ukrainian forces.
Yep.
And that's very bad indeed. They basically end up where the Ukrainian forces would be hit from both front and back. So the Ukrainians are doing incredibly well at holding that.
I think the Russians will stop once he's got the whole of the territories he was looking for. He's got Luhansk, he wants the whole of Donbass, he wants whatever the fuck his head fucking thing is, he wants the whole of Kherson. So he wants everything this side of the Donbass River, really.
You really have difficulty with these big words, don't you?
No, just that one.
Zaporizhia.
Once again, please. That it doesn't look like that when it's written down. Anyway, basically, Putin's almost got everything he wants. And once he's taken the whole of the Donbass and the whole of Kherson, I think he'll just say, right, time to get round the table. I'm keeping it. I'm stopping here.
Well, in actual fact, I would say that if I was Putin now, which I'm not, I wouldn't even bother with the table.
Right, let's get
that's where we are. I'm not doing any deals on it. If I decide to go forward, I'll go forward. You know.
Right, let's look and see if this votes went through.
Yeah, let's all look at this.
Well, I can't see nothing fresh telling us the votes.
Yeah, the phase one was going to be a bit of a celebration in Sharm el Sheikh, reference the first phase of the deal, but it doesn't tell us if the Israeli Parliament has voted for the ceasefire.
No, the vote's not done yet. The vote's not in. It says there'll be an announcement. The cabinet meeting's been moved to 1700 local time.
Yeah, which is 4 o'clock our time.
Right. Well, it's only just kicked off. It's no funny shit.
Yeah,
we haven't heard anything from it.
Yeah.
The meeting has been delayed. Israeli Cabinet and Security Cabinet are widely expected to approve the deal today, although their meeting has been delayed. So there you go. That's the latest for the BBC, who are on site, apparently, at the Knesset.
Well, everybody's on site.
Aye.
You name it.
The programme you're playing with your phone, you naughty boy.
No, I'm busy looking for names. That's what I'm looking for.
No, you've run out of time to tell us any, so there you go.
Ben-Gvir is the finance minister for the Israelis, and he this morning was on about now it means releasing thousands of these Palestinian killers, and we can't afford to do that.
Well, they're going to exterminate them all. Anyway, we'll end on. We had the story of the newest vehicle to be produced here in Scotland. Do you remember the last vehicle to roll off a production line before Linwood shut down, David?
Yeah, I do now because we discussed that, right? I thought it was a Hillman M. It's not. It wasn't a Hillman M.
I'll put the picture up.
Jesus wants me for a sunbeam.
That's the last vehicle to have been produced here in Scotland.
Believe it or not, I'm sorry to say, guys, I had one of those. In red, but I had one.
Well, anyway, that's what it looked like. The last vehicle to be produced in Linwood, that's what it was. It was a Chrysler Talbot Peugeot Sunbeam.
Yeah.
There you go. It was designed by Chrysler, Talbot and Peugeot. So there you have it. And to be fair, it's just a wedge, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it was very similar to the Fiesta at the time.
And just so you know, folks, see that bit at the front, the bumper there that looks all rusty? That's no reflection. That's just the way they come off a production line, but it's rusty bumpers. And by the time you drove them through the first fucking puddle, they disintegrated.
Don't take it to a car wash, whatever you do.
No. They weren't waterproof. What we go here? Kirsty Hamilton. Sheba Dog saying, good job, Wild, raising his thumb. Thanks very much, Kirsty. Right, David, as you know, I start work in 30 minutes, so it's time to round this one off. Well, folks, we hope you found it interesting. We hope you found it informative. Although we haven't got any news to end on with Israel, we were hoping that the Israel-Gaza ceasefire would have been agreed.
That is something you're going to see possibly tomorrow. You'll get the information that will come through that they've either agreed or disagreed to the ceasefire, or here's the questions that need answering.
Right. Mr. Shifty McGrifty, aka Larry the Cat, Jesus didn't want that as a sunbeam. You're not kidding. Nobody wanted that as a sunbeam. Especially, nobody wanted it because you couldn't take it out in the fucking rain. Because
Hey.
we're driven from Port Glasgow to Glasgow, to the hole in the roof.
Now listen, right? We're Scottish, and we've got plans.
Aye, you're Scottish and you've got plans. So have I. I'm Scottish. I've got plans to go to fucking work. Right, guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 10:30. Don't be late. You're on the naughty step. David and I will be back Monday afternoon to discuss what's happened between now and Monday afternoon. So, time to say your goodbyes, David.
Goodbye. Time for independence, independence, independence. And keep your eyes